Heidi ho, guys and gals. Welcome back. I think we're live. Do we look live?
I don't know.
We seem live. We might need. This is our first live stream using the new tech, and I got a feeling that the sound quality is low because it doesn't seem very high. So give me a minute. I'm going to see if we can boost the sound quality here. Blah, 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 blah.
I'm trying to see if we're even happening.
Well, I'm happening. All right.
Alrighty.
Let's see what that sounds like. Well, we're getting a little bit higher. Let me try a little more bump there.
Okay.
Okay. All right. There's that. We'll leave that there for now. Come over here. See who's in the chat. We have Michael's in the chat. Futano2 is here. We got Matthew Ryan. He's here. Says the lunatic. We're doing the Pink Floyd quotes here. Let's see here. Who else? I was in the kitchen to see what's that's the dog is. And we're having bandwidth issues already because I hate the bandwidth we have here in Montana. It is just, it's not been great since we got back. I've been having all sorts of issues with it. We're on Starlink. I spent a whole day trying to figure out a better way to do this, and I've yet to find one. I don't know, maybe just going via my phone.
Matthew Ryan says video is extremely choppy.
Hold on.
Now we're buffering.
We're going to try switching over to the old phone.
Yeah. So I hope everyone's having a wonderful Sunday.
Wonderful.
I feel like this shirt.
Wunderbar, even.
Wunderbar. I feel like it looks like there's something on my shirt, and there's not. So.
I don't see anything on your shirt.
Okay. Maybe there's something on the
It's a
monitor.
smudge on the screen.
Aha.
All right. Bear with us. We're jumping carriers here.
Hopefully, it gets better.
Ooh, I'm using Wi-Fi 6. This looks significantly worse.
He has problems.
That is
So,
dreadfully slow.
working.
Maybe it's going to work itself out. No, that's no. No, I'm saying no to that one.
I don't even know what it is.
I'm running off my phone.
Excuse me.
Any comments about it? That it's terrible?
Yeah, I just said so. Working on things. It is streaming now. Futano2 says.
It is?
That's what they're saying. Anyone?
You can
So I'm gonna guess.
We're going back.
The Den of Tools. It's like video in the old dial-up days.
Oh my gosh.
That good.
So good.
Fantastic. Says thought you had cable at home. We're at the shop.
Yeah, we're at the shop. Maybe we should be doing this at home.
The shippity
We might have to. After this, do it at the house.
Okay.
Because this is terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. Elon, you got to fix this.
Yeah, I do have to say I thought I would be more impressed.
It
And honestly, like when we first experimented with it, it was before we even got it for ourselves. We had friends who had it. It was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, speak up a little bit.
Yes, I got that by the pointing.
Okay.
But then when we got it, does anyone else see flies? I'm gonna smack them.
I have my own protection. I'm good.
But since we got it, I have been really unimpressed.
Yeah, I mean, the downstream has been about, I would say it's better than DSL, but the high-speed cable internet we had in Vegas was way faster. And
Apparently it's choppy.
And it's all over the place. Just
like some
all
days
over
it'll
the
be
place.
totally fine, and then today the weather's wonky. Which would that?
I mean, it could, but I mean, I'm going to look at I'm going to pull up my stats on the phone.
Somebody says that they're blaming the antlers. Really? The antlers? You think that's the problem?
I believe it.
They're kind of fuzzy. Fuzzy antlers.
Says your Starlink has an unobstructed view of the sky. There's a little bit on the fringe, but as you can see, it's got. I mean, this is a kind of cool app, right?
It's a little blurry for them.
Yeah, but the point is, we've got unobstructed view. It says it, but the speed is just awful. Yeah, I'm getting 20 upstream. 20.
Bro Weaver says, relax. Elon just launched 23 more Starlink sats into space. Well, they're not doing their jobs.
The only thing I can think is that like 50 people right around where we are decided to buy Starlink. But I'll be honest, we were in Nashville. And that's what this is about. This is about our summer road trip, and I hope you can see it and stuff. But we went from here to, where'd we go? Fargo. Mm-hmm. Spent the night in Fargo. What a great hotel. Went from Fargo to, what's that?
That one wasn't that bad, was it?
It was a sketchy area. It looked like there was meth dealers hanging out in the lobby, and you had to get buzzed in to get in.
Okay, maybe.
Anyway.
I think the other ones just like overshadowed that
A
experience.
whole bunch of bad hotels.
Yeah. A whole lot of don't stay there.
Yeah. We went to Chicago and stayed at the Embassy Suites. There's two of them.
Definitely stay there.
We stayed where?
The something mile.
On the
Miraculous
the one,
Mile.
the Miracle Miraculous Mega.
Miracle Mile is in Vegas, so it's got to be
the Miraculous Mile. Anyway, whatever. Where all the rich shopping area is, we got in there late. I got photos. Hold on.
What?
Yeah, I know you love those slideshows. Wait a minute, let's see here. This is.
That's not.
Oh, that's not it. Let me go over to the photos. All right. So we started off
on the road.
Yeah. Got to. This is just outside of Wisconsin, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah, this is just outside of Wisconsin. We were trying to avoid a whole bunch of bad traffic. I think there was an accident or something. So we went through this, like by this lake near this really nice neighborhood, and ended up at the liquor store. Jess was like, screw it, I'm on vacation. I'm doing the cheesy fun stuff. And that was her attitude for the whole vacation. And it was awesome because she's usually, believe it or not, a little uptight about that sort of thing. And I love you, but you are. They can't see you right now. Then in Chicago, we went out to dinner. We went to Michael Jordan's Steakhouse.
Oh, yeah.
Ridiculously expensive, but also ridiculously good. We got a steak
really good.
flight. A flight of steaks with some lobster and some shrimp and dipping sauces
If
and
you're
the whole 9
wondering
yards.
what that weird yellow thing is, that's a lemon that has its own little net thing.
And then we walked around at night, and the kids were totally tickled that they were in this big city late at night when they never get to go out and do stuff late at night. And we, that's the river. That's right next to it. Trump Tower, right next to our hotel. That's the. That's the garden. That's
right near,
over near the park near the
Bean?
The Bean.
Yeah.
Of course, everybody and their brother was at the Bean. Like, seriously, the place was packed. Picasso, an actual Picasso, almost nobody there. Absolutely ridiculous. Yep. But our hotel there was. The bedroom was nice. The view was gorgeous.
I'm trying to remember.
The couch in the living room looked like it was like off of Wayfair.com.
Yeah.
Like had no armrests. It was just there. It looked like it was like, what do you call that?
Are we talking about Chicago?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was a pull-out couch, but it had no armrests, and it was like institutional kind of furniture. But it was all right. It was a embassy suite, and anyway, I don't know. Let me check the comments here, see what's going on. So, let's see here.
Mini dishes to the antlers. I love it.
our friends live in Brookfield. We just took the train to the city. Yes, the steak flight was something else.
It was amazing. Like, I think it's probably a once in a lifetime. Like, I don't foresee myself doing that again.
I might do it with just you and I.
Yeah. Yeah, we had the kids with us.
Yeah.
So we all shared that.
Yeah. And we all had plenty to eat, I think. Mm-hmm. So that was, it was, them getting us in there, because it was packed. Everything else was closing down. It was the only place that was open. We're all starving. And
we were not particularly fancy.
Yeah, and they worked really hard to get us in a table, get everything set up. The people there were fantastic. Yeah. I can't say enough about them. Let's see, where did we go after that?
After Chicago?
I don't know. Well, we went around. Oh, wrong tab. If I can pull up the right tab here. We went and we did the. Walking around, we got some pizza because I had to get some pizza in Chicago, and this is on what like one of the roof, not the top roof, but the roof of the outside of the Sears Tower. So this is like 4 stories up. Then they have this whole grass lawn kind of thing you can hang out on, and then we went all the way up to the top, and everyone got to look around and be crazy. We took the kids and everybody on the L. They'd heard stories of when I was little going on the L, so they really wanted to ride the L. And then the next day we jaunted over to Michigan.
Yep.
Just the very edge, the very corner of Michigan next to Indiana, and went swimming. The wife and I walked out on the pier. It was really cool because the kids had seen this lighthouse. They've seen pictures of it online, where in the winter where it's frozen and it's huge sheets of ice, and they're like, we're standing right here. This is insane. So that was really cool. There's the wife enjoying the sun. You liked Lake Michigan, didn't you?
I did. Yeah. I did. It was really cool. I just remembered, where is that sweatshirt?
I have no idea. Probably in the truck still.
Yep.
Oh, look at that. And then we went down to Shipshawan.
Yep.
And saw the Amish. This was leaving because they were closing and they were about to shut the doors. But when we got here, that was like 50 carriages and horses, horse and buggies there. It was insane. Then, that's back in Shipshawan. And then we went to the lake house. We've got some extended family that's got a lake house in northern Indiana. And actually, I think this is a video. You get a feel for it. But, the kids, Elle had a blast. She caught frogs and turtles, and the kids went fishing pretty much all the time. It's not a ginormous lake, but it's big enough for like a bass fishing lake, get out on a jet ski kind of thing. The water's just perfect. It's a great lake.
Yeah.
Not technically a great lake, but I think it's a great lake. Let's see here. What else? Frank says, would have loved to meet up when you were in Michigan. We were only in Michigan for a hot second. Oh, yeah. I had a little bit of the old Jack Daniel's watermelon. That was like my go-to drink on the trip because it's low alcohol, but it's a nice little drink. Kind of like, I'm a big fan of watermelon by itself anyway, so. We really wanted to meet up with people, but we actually kind of scheduled everything a little tight.
Yeah.
And looking back on it, I think we would have done a little less driving and a little more just relaxing. But it was also a case of, and this whole thing came about last minute. The family was going to be fixing up the lake house, and they wanted to know if they could borrow Griffin. Duncan and a friend of his were headed up, and the 3 boys were supposed to work on the lake house the whole week. And then Jess and I and Eleanor took off, and we went down to Nashville for the week.
Yeah.
So we dropped them off there. I think they got a mailbox painted and did a bunch of fishing, is I think all they did. Then on the way out of town, as I said, we dropped off the boy. I had to hit up a Skyline. This is in Fort Wayne, I think. And I gotta say, first of all, and I meant to say this earlier, I want to say huge thank you. Let me switch over here. Where's my screen? It's like I've done this before or something.
Once.
I got two screens going. Anyway, I just want to say a huge thank you because this whole trip was made possible by viewers like you, as PBS would say. Seriously, this is what we do for a living these days. This is our main source of income, and we're really blessed to be able to take time off. And this was just over 3 week long road trip.
Yeah.
And I loved road trips. I've done road trips all my life. I've never done a 3 week plus long road trip. Traveled. I mean, I can't remember how many states it was. It was Montana. Left Montana, went to North Dakota, Wisconsin, Minnesota. I realize that's not in order. Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, back into Indiana, through Kentucky, down into Tennessee, went down to Alabama.
I was going to say Alabama.
Came back up, went through Ohio, came back up into Wisconsin, then down into Iowa, into Nebraska, South Dakota, Wyoming. What is that, 14 states?
It's all of them.
It's ridiculous. But we did it. Had a blast doing it. Don't know if I'd do a trip like that again. Maybe if it was like 3 months, maybe.
Sort of feel like 3 weeks was a long trip.
It was a long, yeah. 2 weeks would have been better.
2 weeks probably would have been better. And I also think that we had some really rough nights. Some of the locations that we stayed at were just awful. And there's no way to plan for that. Like, when you make a reservation, your guess is that it's going to be, mediocre at the worst. And some of them were just downright not great.
I left some very unpleasant Google reviews.
Yeah.
What was it? And we spent quite a bit on the hotel in Chicago, and that was Elle's big thing. She really wanted to go to Chicago. And then Nashville was supposed to be more for the two of us. And I got a really nice condo off of Airbnb. And we'll show you a picture of it here in a minute. So I kind of splurged on those, plus the whole trip itself. So the in-between hotels, we got a condo in Iowa. Mm-hmm. And I tried to be thrifty. Because you know me, I'm a value kind of bear. And when I can, I'm like, if we're just stopping for one night, we're just going to crash, get up next week. That doesn't really have to be that nice. Well, there's a difference between not nice and, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Let's see here. The place in the place in North Dakota you had to get buzzed in, and it looked like there was meth dealers hanging out in the parking lot. The place in Michigan.
And that one I don't even remember, so it must have been so bad that my brain was like, just wipe.
You were just
memory.
tired. It was a 12-hour drive the first day. The place in Michigan, somebody had kicked in the bathroom doors. It looked like somebody had been murdered in a domestic incident. It was terrible. Yeah. There was a play set at the end that looked like it was out of a horror movie.
100%.
With a shed next to it with flickering light, with buzzing noise. It was.
We didn't investigate.
No. The place in Indiana, the first room they assigned us already had somebody in it.
Yep.
The second room, we pulled back the sheets, and there was a chunk of candy?
Gum.
I had a picture, but it was easily that big.
It was
around.
huge.
It
wasn't like, something got in there with the sheets and like went through the wash and there's like, nope, not. No. It was like somebody chewed it and
stuck it in there and left it. Mm-hmm. Then we left. We get down to. Let me show you the place in whatchamacallit, in Nashville, and chili. Mm-hmm. Oh, we get to Nashville. We're starving again. We get in late because we're doing these epic road dashes in between. So we went to Waffle House. That was terrible.
I didn't think it was awful.
Waffle House was terrible.
I didn't think it was.
They were. First of all, they had armed security in there.
They did have armed security.
It was in worse shape than I am. Okay. Now, granted, I'm a pretty good shot, so maybe they're even better than me.
But there was two.
There were two of them. Quick Draw McGraw over there.
Yep.
And I think they just did. Anyway. I'm not going to say the bad pun there. Anyway, and then as you're eating, every 5 minutes, this blaring sound comes over the speakers in there. This is radio, blah, 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 doing a security check at
Whatever.
restaurant number, blah, 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 blah. Are you clear? And then they'd stop and they would, all the people working there, we're clear, we're all good.
Like each person who was working had to like basically proof of life, I'm okay.
Yeah. But I'm entirely convinced by the 15th time we heard it that it's a recording. Mm-hmm. And they're not really listening in.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like in a terrible part of town. I mean, it's a Waffle House. It's not going to be a great part of town.
And, I think Waffle Houses are great. He and I don't agree on everything.
I used to think Waffle Houses were great, but the last time I went there was probably 25 years ago.
Okay, well, thank goodness
we're 3 o'clock in the morning, leaving the hootenanny and.
Well, me and the kids had a great time when I went back east for family stuff, and we stopped at a Waffle House, I think in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And they just had a super great time, and we had fun. And I will say that if I had gone to the Waffle House that we went to on this trip with my children, I might not feel the same way. But, you were there. We were safe.
Yeah. Let's see. Where do we go after Waffle House? Oh, this is the condo. And I got to tell you, it was... let me turn off the sound on it. It was a beautiful... And the internet, oh my gosh, the internet speed was glorious. Oh, but yeah, look at this. Floor to ceiling windows. It's had a balcony, had a master bedroom with a gorgeous, shower and bath. You can step out here in the balcony. There's a pool down there, and it's right in the heart of like, not just downtown, but like in the loop area of downtown Nashville here, like, within spitting distance of, it was literally on Broadway, and Broadway's like the main strip where all the bars and music, locations are and whatnot.
I'm not sure people are seeing us.
I'm not sure either.
If you are seeing us and hearing us, can you just let us know? It seems like some people are getting an error code. Somebody else also said that if you're at Waffle House and it's not between 2 and 3 a.m., you're making poor life choices.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't quite that late, but it was super late when we got in. Like, we had 2 solid days of really late travel.
Yeah. And, wait, what happened here?
You don't know.
Okay, good. SW said you're having trouble. We are. There's something going on. We've got a satellite, Starnet, is that right? Starlink. Yeah, Star Unlinked. Yeah. It's been terrible, and it's been getting progressively worse since we got it.
Yeah, that's like the weird thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad.
Yeah. Well, as long as you can hear us, right? Yep. You know what we look like.
Yeah, but yeah.
I mean, I'm not as pretty as you are. They might want to look at you, but
that's all right.
Who knows? I know, and I'm trying to share pictures and stuff here. Tell you what, I'll put a link to the pictures afterwards, and you guys can go through the pictures if you want.
Yeah.
We saw the Nashville Parthenon.
Yeah.
We had some, of course, hot chicken. I actually became quite a fan of the hot chicken.
I did not eat any. I got super sick. I ate gluten accidentally.
Oh, yeah.
Like, not too long before our trip, and I was so avoiding anything that would make me sick. But it looked amazing, and I love to smell food, even if I can't eat it.
Yeah, I will say this. This is at a place called, what was it called? The one that the driver recommended. This was not a good one. This was the place was like the...
And had a really long wait.
The chicken cluck or cluck and chicken or something. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there is a weird
name. And it was... Yeah, it was not my favorite. It looks good. Not my favorite. I had some that was fantastic, though, the rest of it. We went on a riverboat cruise.
Oh, yeah. And the people at our table were from Montana.
Just down the road.
Yep.
We had a show there. That was lots of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Watching the paddle wheel as you go around, through Nashville. Went by the local Harbor Freight. I went by Northern Tool also. We hopped on down to Alabama. Did the tour of Buc-ee's.
Yay!
Buc-ee's, I gotta tell you, man, if you've not been to a Buc-ee's, brother, you're missing out. You gotta check out a Buc-ee's. I had the best sandwich. I I kid you not, the best sandwich I ever had. They had a 3-meat sandwich, and I think it was a sausage, a beef, and the brisket. And like sliced beef, brisket. I'm watering at the mouth thinking about it. It was, and I'm not a brisket guy.
No,
I don't actually
he's
care for brisket.
legitimately not a brisket guy. That's all me.
Yeah. I was hoping it'd be like pulled pork and a sausage and like some sliced beef, but it was. I'd get it again.
And there was definitely food options if you have any kind of food restrictions. Like you could find something for everyone there. People that can't do gluten, people that can't do meat, people whatever. I could have spent all day there.
Yeah.
Like forever.
I had to remind her that we had to get going.
I was not a happy camper.
Oh, and then from there we went, let's see, where did we go next? We went up, we took a detour. I don't have a picture of it.
Was the chicken place called What the Cluck?
Yes, What the Cluck.
What the Cluck.
And it was super dry, super long wait. The beignets were tough. I was unimpressed. And it wasn't like super, super packed, which was bizarre because it was like almost an hour wait.
We were like, why are we waiting? No one's sitting down.
But we went through, where was the place with Space Camp?
Huntsville?
Huntsville, Alabama. And I texted a buddy of mine, showed him a picture of us crossing into Alabama. He calls me up. He's like, don't you be smirching my name down there.
Exactly.
Oh, my gosh. I love him. Anyway, went on over to Lynchburg. And we didn't do the tour or anything. I know how to make whiskey. I don't need a tour. But it was cool seeing the town and stuff.
I could have spent like twice as much time there in that town.
Yeah,
you
liked
super
it.
Big.
It's funny because she did not want to stop there.
Yeah.
But she had the most fun there. The Northern Tool we went to. Oh, look. This is, speaking of someone here's been drinking moonshine. This was, what was the name of this place?
I love how you think I'm going to remember that.
I don't remember. It was in the mall.
Something Creek, wasn't it? Something.
Yeah,
Creek?
Smith Creek or like Smith Creek Mills or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, so she doesn't drink a lot, almost never, and she sat there and did. They're thimble-sized shots. Shot for shot with me over at the moonshine place. Oh, and we had to, of course, do the Country Music Hall of Fame.
Yep.
And I'm not like, I like country music. I listen to country music. I listen to it on the radio. Kids will stream it on Spotify and stuff. I like country music. I grew up around country music, but I don't think I own a single country music album. But I knew, when he walked through here, I'm like, I know who that is. I know who this is. I remember that. I know this. It's just astounding how much it was just osmosis growing up in the Midwest. I grew up mostly in Iowa, Nebraska, a little bit over in Ohio and Kentucky, and it was insane. I mean, there's Elvis's Rolls Royce, or not Rolls Royce, Cadillac.
Okay, because I was trying to figure that out. Was that Elvis's?
Yes.
I couldn't remember. Okay.
There were two cars.
Amazing.
The one that was covered in the other stuff, that was someone else's. Lester Flatt, I remember him. And I think I remember him mostly from like the Beverly Hillbillies or something. Then, this one, Guy Clark's Workshop was super cool. And looking at all the stuff they got the tapes, and they got a little woodworking thing in the back, and over on the side they got the bench.
All the cardboard templates that he'd cut out.
Yeah. And all the, the stereo equipment. This was, of course, Eleanor's favorite thing. And you, I think,
yes.
too.
So much fun. There's a couple recording studios in there, and you can record songs with your family. So much fun. Talk about making memories.
Again, someplace where I thought I was going to have to physically extract them.
I'm thinking about running away there again. Be like, peace out, back to Nashville.
Then we did the Man in Black. What's his name? I can't remember.
Cash.
Johnny Cash. We did his museum. I actually absolutely loved the Johnny Cash Museum.
Yeah,
I thought that
was super cool.
Of course, way smaller, but it was amazing how much stuff they cramped into that that small area. A lot of great stuff to see there, stuff to listen to. Then, of course, we had to at least take one day or one evening it was, and go down and do the do Broadway and do the honky tonks and stuff with all the live music and stuff. I typically don't care for live music. as I find it often too loud to actually hear what's going on and stuff. But this was pretty cool. And then we went to there's a lot of these rooftop bars and stuff. And we went up, whoops, there's the missus in front of Miranda Lambert. Let's see here. And this was like a Tuesday night.
Yep.
So like, yeah.
And there's a ton of other rooftop establishments that you can see across from this rooftop establishment.
Yeah, this is just one little area. But it was a lot of fun. And we went, and that was earlier in the day, not like we drove through down the street late at night, and it was madhouse. It is, I got to say, I think Nashville, the honky tonk district in Nashville, the vibe there is what people think Vegas is like.
Yeah.
Because, we've lived in Vegas. I've done tons of trips to Vegas. I've spent more than my fair share at the casinos in Vegas. And I've seen people getting crazy and stuff like that. We saw a woman get out at a stoplight and start twerking next to her car. That was a thing.
Yep.
But the kind of madness that you think you're going to see in Vegas happens in Nashville. It is the bridal shower. Is that not bridal shower? It's the
Bachelorette party.
Bachelorette party capital of the world.
Every walk of life, like everything. And about 3/4 of them have to be wearing white boots. I think it's like the law.
We said that we should make a drinking game where you have to do a shot every time you see a girl in white boots. But you would be dead, alcohol poisoning, within the first 20 minutes. Just on the floor, call it, he's done.
Yeah. Really questionable life choices with our fashion outfits.
Yeah, and they're going there, and there's like boot barns and stuff up and down the street, and boot places, and the women are going there, buying boots there, and then walking their feet off around town in new boots.
Yes. They must be very sore.
I don't think they've ever owned boots before. If you're going to make that call, because that is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Who was it? Was it George Strait that was in concert?
Yes.
I think it was George Strait was in concert. I was bummed we missed that. That would have been pretty cool to go to.
Except, like, one of the nights was amazing, and then the next night it was like the most spectacular, amazing storm, which was cool to watch from inside our very nice.
Oh yeah, huge electrical storm with just curtains of lightning and sheets of rain. We're up on the 14th floor. I don't remember. We're way up there, and panoramic windows, and we're just watching this storm pass through Nashville and think about all the poor people at that concert. And they stayed.
Yep.
They didn't leave. They stayed.
Nope. They're like, we are here.
And I think the band went acoustic to keep playing.
And I know that they have, I don't go and see live music in general just because I don't really do crowds very well. But I saw they had a lot of requirements of you had to have clear purses and all these other things. I mean, people were there hours and hours before it happened, and they were there all day.
Yeah. So we had a great week in Nashville.
Holy guacamole. Futon Ochu, did you mean to do this?
What?
A $50 super chat?
Woohoo!
Says, all that road tripping, here's some more gas money. Thank
you
so much.
You're awesome.
And if that really was not what you meant to send and you wanted to send 5, just let us know.
Yeah.
We totally understand. Been
That's
there.
insane. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And, that was, God, boy, that was a lot of gas.
There was a lot of gas. I feel like I just lived at a gas station for about a week.
And I was so stunned how hard it was to find diesel in Nashville.
Yeah, that's a pro tip for you. Definitely look at what is available, because if you are not used to not having diesel, you might find yourself in an interesting situation. So we made sure to get some before we got to Nashville.
Well, when we went to Chicago, we stopped in Wisconsin and got diesel in Wisconsin because we knew you're not going to get diesel in downtown Chicago.
Yeah.
But Nashville, we liked visiting Nashville a lot. I mean, tons of great stuff to see, cool experiences and stuff. We didn't make it. Half the places we wanted to go to, we didn't make it to. I wanted to go to the Grand Ole Opry. Wanted to go,
Oh, where's the place I went? You didn't go.
the mansions.
Yes.
Starts with a B or something.
I want to say it's the
Bradford.
Beltmore. Beltmont.
No,
Anyways,
not the Biltmore.
Beaumont. No, I'll look it up. It was amazing.
It's at the university up there.
Yeah.
One of the universities.
And it was super cool. Definitely go take a look. It was awesome.
Yeah. So we had a great time there. But I'm going to say this, and I'm sorry if you're from that area. Some of the rudest people I've ever met. I would not live in Nashville. You couldn't pay me enough to live there. And I got to tell you, I was after the second day there, I was thinking about living there my whole life because the internet speed was, it was like.
It was amazing.
So I spent 20 years working in Silicon Valley. I ran a tech firm in the heart of Silicon Valley, part of the fiber optics ring, the first fiber optics ring they set up there. We had ridiculously fast internet. The internet in my condo was 10 times faster. Just absolutely screaming. You were grabbing the internet by your bare hands, live volts through you. I uploaded half an hour long videos in a minute and a half. I'm like, I could like do a whole month's worth of, we actually talked about it. I could do a whole month's worth of video, fly to Nashville, have a little weekend, have some fun, and just upload everything in like an hour. And
it was so impressive.
Yeah, it was, but the people and the drivers and everyone was just so full of themselves, and like I'm just super busy. When we were in Chicago, walking around the middle of the night, super nice.
Yeah, I mean, I have family that's in Chicago, and I had never been, and I think my expectation is Chicago is like a big city, and people are going to be busy and probably kind of rude, but just like into their own lives.
Yeah.
And I was pleasantly surprised. People were amazing. Like
everyone was nice.
We, had adventures, misadventures.
People in Michigan were nice. People in Indiana were nice. Nashville, not so much.
Yeah.
And then we drove back, and we went through went through Cincinnati. I went to my last year of high school and did some college. Lived in the Cincinnati, Greater Cincinnati, Kentucky area. Popped around there for a while. I lived in the area for 10 years. Hence my proclivity for Cincinnati chili and Mets and brats and whatnot. But I drove the kids around, showed them all where I lived and stuff. Flipped off my high school. It was hilarious because I went there for like two and a half years at that high school. No, not one and a half years. It was the other high school. So I went to that high school 1.5 years, hated it. But we'll get to the other high school in a minute. Yes?
Barbecue 76 with the $5.76 super chat. Thank you. Says, I just cooked 10 pounds of tri-tip, 38 hamburgers, and 36 corn on the cobs, plus a ton of grilled pineapple of various flavors. How do you have various flavors of pineapple? I'm exhausted.
I'm intrigued.
Worth it. That sounds amazing. I would love pictures because who doesn't want pictures?
I do like a good tri-tip. I never had tri-tip till I moved to California.
Really?
Yeah, never heard of it growing up in the Midwest. It's not a thing.
Barbecue 76. Matthew says that he's coming to your house if there's leftovers.
Yeah,
I think he's getting in his car right now.
Yeah. So then we went back, picked up the Griffin. I took the boys, and oh my gosh, what a fiasco that was! It wasn't a fiasco; it was just hard on me. They had
adventure.
They were like, the girls were doing something. They're like, let's go do something. I'm like, okay. They're like, let's drive over to Lake Michigan. And I'm like, no, we don't. I'm like, it's an hour and a half from, let's do it. So we drove to Lake Michigan, the boys and I.
Something about a 4-hour tour.
Yeah, we had an absolute blast. Drove back late at night. I will say this about Indiana and Michigan. Our kids, it was their first chance to see lightning bugs. And they'd heard my stories about growing up with them. And We were sitting in Michigan next to the beach at this little restaurant, sitting outside. And Eleanor's like, you think we're going to see lightning bugs? And a lightning bug, and it was at dusk, flies right across our table and blinks right in front of her face. And it was an expression I will never forget. Mm-hmm. She trembled. She was so excited. Yeah. It was just one of the best moments of the whole trip. I liked him seeing the buggies in Shipshawan too.
Yep.
They thought I was exaggerating. I'm like, I need you guys to help me keep out buggy watch. And she's like, yeah, whatever. And then we're like, buggy after buggy. She's like, you weren't kidding. Mm-hmm. They're everywhere. I'm like, yeah, well, they don't have cars. So.
A lot of them didn't wear shoes.
Yeah.
Which was interesting.
And e-bikes.
Oh, yeah.
Where is the loophole that they were all, if they weren't in a buggy, they were on an e-bike.
Yeah. Depends on if they're Amish or Mennonite or Hutterite or like.
I think they're all Amish in that area.
Right, but I'm just saying, yes, it's okay.
But they were all, e-bikes everywhere.
Yeah.
Nice ones too. I got to do a lot of e-bike watching. Mm-hmm. And anyway, it's just funny. So we came back up and then we headed back to Wisconsin and we went to the Dells and we stayed at Mount Olympus Resorts, which has like 10 or 12 locations around the Dells. And I decided to have some fun with this, and I got us a cabin for 2 or 3 nights? 3 nights?
3 nights.
3 nights, and I'm not doing that one again. The window frame, look at that. That window, they're all like that. And the bed was terrible. It did have AC. I will give it that. That was the one redeeming factor. They were super cramped. We stayed at a cabin up here in
Lolo.
In Lolo, near Lolo Hot Springs, and that thing was nice. It was a great time, and this thing was terrible. And one of the things, they had a sign: no fires closer than 50 feet from the cabins, and it has to be in a fire ring. And every cabin had its own fire ring. And I don't know if you can't quite see it. It's 5 feet from the cabin.
Right.
All of them.
And you can't move them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not sure how that's going to work.
So we toured all of the Dells. The kids went and did the water park. I went and saw, I went to Direct Tools. Had a blast there. I think I went to Menards while we were there. I went to 2 Menards on the trip. Have a swig with, that one caught me off guard coming around the corner.
Yep. Matthew Ryan says, at the Den of Tools, I have seen that kind of expression on the face of a college dorm mate from Bangladesh experiencing his first snowfall.
Oh, wow. I bet that was super cool.
I will remember the kids' faces and their giggles and just, it's magic if you've never seen a lightning bug before. Yeah. It is just magic.
And then, of course, they were everywhere that night I drove out into the cornfields and stuff outside of town so that they could see them. We drove around, they saw them everywhere. And then when they're in Indiana, they're everywhere. By the end of the trip, she was like all over it. She's like, yeah, I'm good with lightning bugs. I know them now. I've had my experience. If you haven't seen my post about this is also in the Dells. This is the local pizza place, Moose Jaw Pizza. And yes, that is one of their delivery cars. Now, this car hasn't moved in a while. It's got flat tires and stuff. But on the opposite side of the parking lot, they had like 20 of them. And I'll be honest, the pizza was not bad. We went for the brunch buffet. Yes, I'm wearing moose antlers.
Everyone wears moose antlers. Yeah. There's a couple other antlers, if you can see above our heads.
Yeah, there were antlers everywhere. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but honestly, I was stunned. Usually a kind of buffet place, the pizza's terrible. Pizza was actually pretty good. The rest of it was kind of generic. And I did try my best while we're there, to
drink Wisconsinably.
They had shirts and stuff everywhere. I was so tempted to get one. And then we left there, headed down to Iowa. But on the way, we had to stop at the House on the Rock.
House on the Rock. Hang on. Shaka, thank you for the $2 super chat. Ryobi tools are trash. I hear you. I hear what you're saying.
Look, no Ryobi over there. Not one. Don't move your head, sweetie. Just don't move your head. No Ryobi over there at all. It's terrible stuff. Mm-hmm.
Barbecue 76 with a $5.76 super chat says, now that I'm done and I have 5 minutes before bed, I'm going to be here with you guys. Lucky you. And it's been a while since I've had time. Excellent. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate your 5 minutes. And I would appreciate to eat some of your tri-tip.
Yeah. I could go for a steak or something like that right now. We've been eating pretty good, though, recently. Maybe too good. But what was I going to say? Oh, the House on the Rock. If you guys haven't, now I'd never heard of it. I'd heard of it, but I didn't get to really understand it until I read the book Good Omens and heard about it. And that made me do some more research on it. And then they'd never heard of it. And I did not realize where we were. We were cutting over on a 2-lane road from Wisconsin over to Iowa. There's no.
Did we get the sandwiches before?
After.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about the sandwiches.
Yes, because we have to we need to find out where that place
I would
was.
like to figure out what town that was because, I want to write them a thank you note.
And have them invite us back for more steak sandwiches.
So anyway, House on the Rock. We didn't get to do the whole thing. In fact, I think we did like 1/3 or 1/4 of the house because it's a whole day kind of tour. It's just the Americana display. It's just really you have to go and look for a video. It's amazing. I cannot describe what it really is.
There's ice cream that you can have inside. There's like a cafeteria. Yeah. It's like I would go back and spend all day there.
Oh yeah.
It was
and the people were super nice.
Sorry to interrupt again. BP Woodworking says, Den of Tools, all my Amish family lives in the Shipshawana area.
Oh, cool.
Yes, the bishops in the Shipshawana are starting to allow e-bikes, but if you get outside of the town of Shipshawana, you don't really see them.
So, that's interesting.
I super appreciate that.
I'm a huge fan and advocate of e-bikes, so, I get it, as long as they're still happy with their faith and everything. It's kind of those weird things, like, I may not agree with it, but I don't want to see it diluted because it is so much of who and what they are, and I respect them and admire that there's all these differences and those people out there doing that kind of thing. I mean, part of me is like a little bit jealous, other than part of me that has to would have to get up in the morning and do real work, like till the sun went down, and do it every single day, and not have. I don't want any of that. I like my internet and I like my cars. Anyway, so House on the Rock, and then this is the road that goes from the Dells to Dubuque, Iowa, and I'd never been. I've been all over the Midwest. I'd never been on that road, and we stopped at I'm like, we're driving on House of the Rock, and I'm like, holy, I know what this place is. And I whip in, everyone's screaming because I'm driving like a lunatic, and they're like, what is this? I'm like, we're taking an hour-long break or 2-hour-long break, and we're doing this. And she's like, okay.
Yeah, I was not a happy camper.
No.
I'm like, what? Because we had a long day, and it was the beginning.
Yeah, and then when I told her it was time to leave, she was
not a happy camper. Nope, wasn't.
Can't win.
Didn't get to finish. Didn't get all of my squished penny. Okay, anybody who knows me knows that I love, like when we travel, getting squished pennies, like wherever we go.
The penny machines that.
Because my children would make us buy an entire trailer to bring back all of the stuffed animals that apparently we need in our lives. So squished pennies are much smaller. But when we go, it's a great way. It's small, it's compact. You can look at it later and be like, oh, we went to Alcatraz or whatever. Yeah. So, another Barbecue 76 says, it's been a while since I've got to mess with the old red. Oh, hello, Mr. Bear. Oh, an old red. And your barbecue stuff. Words we shall have. Oh, I like eating barbecue.
Oh, I'm in discussions with a meat supplier right now to do sponsorships for the channel, and they've got, not only do they have like pasture raised regenerative farming beef, but they've got buffalo and elk and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I just gotta not let them know how excited I am to be doing that.
Right. Di Diz says gaudy is how the locals describe the House on the Rock.
Oh yeah, it totally.
I'm sure.
Yeah. But still, it was just.
He's in reading mode right now. If you can see the glasses.
I'm trying to figure out
where in the flock of seagulls we stopped.
Yeah.
And of course we paid cash, so it's not like on.
Yeah. So we went. So from the House on the Rock, and I think right before the House on the Rock, it is like the Frank Lloyd Wright
Yeah.
You know, all these houses and schools that he designed. And if you guys have been around the channel, you know, architecture is my favorite form of art. And Frank Lloyd Wright, you can have complaints about building quality and all this other stuff and things that he did and whatnot. Gorgeous, just gorgeous looking homes and buildings. And
I have some of your demon soda.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
There's a sponsorship we need. Anyway, but and I'm like, there's a Frank Lloyd house. There's a kids. They were by the third one. They're all done with it, and I'm like,
they're like, yeah, whatever, Dad.
And I'm like, do you understand how brilliant he was? And then we see House on the Rock. I'm a complete lunatic at this point. And then we leave that and we pull into this little town and we're cruising through this town and we see this sign that says turn this way for steak. I mean, it's like garage sale handwritten on a piece of notebook sized paper on a attached to a paint stirrer. Great. Stuck in the ground.
Now you just told them all how they're gonna trap us in our deaths.
Yeah,
they're gonna be
like if we want to catch them steak sandwiches.
It looked like a sketchy sign, but we thought we should just follow it.
But it said steak sandwich drive through, and we're like, and we see the sign, and we're like,
we have to check that out.
No, well, first we see it, and we're like, what does that mean? What is it? Steak sandwich? Because it was a residential neighborhood, and we're like someone like selling them at a garage sale, and then we get to the next block, and there's a church, and they have, and this is like Wednesday at like 1:00 in the afternoon. Nothing special about the day, and they got tents up, and they are serving hot, fresh steak sandwiches.
Wait, Didiz, you said Spring Green is the town?
Is it really?
Is it the town where the steak sandwiches were? Maybe it's a town for something else. Anyways, the steak sandwiches were amazing.
That's literally the town that I'm looking at on my map right now. I'm looking at Spring Green, and okay. I think she's right.
Didiz, if you know who these people are, we would like to contact them because they were like the best sandwiches ever. And because of me and my dietary stuff, like I don't eat bread. It's kind of weird, and it was the side of the road. They're selling sandwiches, so I didn't really think that they would be super accommodating. She was like, celiac, I totally got you, which I don't have celiac, but whatever.
Close enough.
Close enough. It's easier to say yes to that. And so she like talked to me for like 5 minutes about that, and they were totally happy to put mine in a little tinfoil with no bun, nothing else. It was amazing. We got 2 cheese sticks, some cookies, and I think they had run out of a bag of chips, and we got water.
Yeah, but we see the sign, then we see the church thing set up. So I realized that they're routing people around the block to come through the line at the church because straight up drive up.
Yeah.
So I whip around to this other neighborhood, get over there, pull up, and they're there dishing out these, and we and they have one guy up ahead who's like taking your order, and he's yelling it to the other people. We had to wait for the sheriff who's getting all his food, and there's another sheriff over there chatting with him as he's eating his steak sandwich, and the people were just like the nicest. It was Midwest nice. That's what I mean. This whole trip, other than Nashville, that we saw a whole lot of Midwest nice, and just great. And the steak, oh my gosh, it took me back. I like the whole tunnel vision when I took the first bite.
Car around and go back.
They were like
amazing.
They were like ribeye sandwiches drenched in juice with like home cooked buns, and it was like what, like $8 or something, or $10? How much was it? It was ridiculously cheap.
It was like $10
for a ribeye sandwich with cookies, with the cheese sticks, and that was good. I didn't eat the cookies. I did eat 2 steak sandwiches.
I ate all the cheese sticks, not gonna lie.
Yeah, she did.
I was hungry.
And then we drove over through Dubuque, and I always say that I grew up in Iowa. Now I spent probably 10 years in Iowa, but it was my formative years. It was like my first memories up until I think right like the day before I was supposed to go into high school when we moved to Omaha. But one of the things I always remember is the Amana Colonies.
Oh,
so,
yes. Okay, hang on. I have a super chat. I don't want to lose it.
Okay.
Barbecue 76 with a $5.76 super chat. Love it. Says, so wrong. You get the meat sponsors and the pellet smoker sponsors after I taught you everything you know.
Everything I know.
Say it with me. Pellet pooper.
I'm not going to say that. No, no, not going to say it. That's how you keep sponsors, not saying stuff like that. Anyway, so and you, Barbecue 76, you would love this place. Now, here's the thing. When we bought our trailer, we drove out to Indiana in the middle of February, and we went through the Amana Colonies.
The exact same area.
The exact same area. In the middle, everything's closed. I just got to show it to them. They didn't really. There was one store they got to go into. And she's like, I really hope one day we can come back here. The next year, here we are. Again, unplanned.
Yeah.
I just kind of, as we're going down the highway, I'm like, I know they're that way. The one thing I got to go back. The one thing I'm really upset with myself about is I didn't remember that just outside of Dubuque is the ballpark for Field of Dreams. Mm-hmm. And I really wanted to go see that because that's a movie that always gets me. Every time we watch that, there's like a dust storm and my eyes get all irritated. Yeah. It's terrible. Just terrible. Every time I'm like, is this heaven? No, it's Iowa. I'm like, there's that dust again. Anyway, Amana Colonies, and we went to this place, which is, you gonna tell them?
Oldest continuous meat market / smoker location in the country. I want to say, is it 1754?
Yeah, it's been like well over 100 years.
And Griffin was super smart. There's a room there, so there's the main room where it has like just like a meat counter like you would find anywhere. Amazing meat. And then to the right, there's another smaller room. And we're looking at all this stuff, and there's a door with a hole in it. There's glass. And Griffin's like, Mom, you have to look in there. And I looked in there, and that's literally where they are smoking the meat. Like, you can look into this little, it's like a
smokehouse.
Yeah.
Look at a porthole into the smokehouse.
Yeah. Super cool. All kinds of yummy stuff. You can get local eggs.
Oh, super cheap.
Cheese. Yeah.
She bought a ton of eggs.
What was the other thing? Like I think it was like $3 a dozen, which anyone who follows egg. And there's cheese.
Anyway, so she bought a bunch of stuff, and then we went from there. We went to Iowa. Went to the Iowa State Fair. Now,
Barbecue 76 $2 super chat. Is it me or is the stream choppy? It's you. It's totally you. No one else is having that issue. Yeah, it's us. We're sorry.
Starlink sucks.
Yes.
Thank you, Elon.
Elon, we appreciate the non.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will. So we get to the condo in Iowa, and I'm super excited about it because the condo in Nashville was so awesome. Yeah. And I'm thinking this is gonna be nice, comfortable bed, whole 9 yards. It was terrible. I mean, it was clean. It was new. They're like, no, we don't have any reserved parking. We only have there's plenty of street parking. There was no street parking. They flat out lied. This place is an area where they're reclaiming old industrial areas and building these condos, and the place was absolutely packed. You had to drive around for an hour or more to find a parking spot 4 blocks away.
Can I use your phone?
Yeah.
I just can't. Sorry, my phone has issues.
Yeah, because you won't delete anything.
You know, we're not going to talk about what the issues are, but basically I can't use it right now. This is your version.
So anyway, the when we booked it, they had this whole big thing about like no parties or you'll be evicted, no drugs, you'll be evicted. We have a drug dog on premise. I'm like, really? Do you have any idea? I'm like, I was so close to sending them an email telling them that, that's great. I'm actually a trainer for canine units like this. I'd love to meet your canines and have a discussion about how you train them and stuff. I just wanted to call them out because they were total BS. And they're just like, thank you for coming to our home. We live here, so please respect. No, this wasn't your home. This was a corporation. No. Mm-hmm. They bought like 10 units in this building and were renting it out. And the elevator smelled like a kennel. The
whole floor smelled like a kennel.
Yeah,
the elevator was where
was Satan,
a sauna. Like Satan's tea kettle is in that elevator.
They gave you no instructions on how to use the electric lock to get in. And then just outside the door, they had a Ring security camera. But it wasn't facing the hallway. It was facing back inside so they could watch you and make sure you weren't having parties. So every time you open the door, you got to be, hey, everyone stop doing anything stupid. They're going to eavesdrop on us as soon as we open this door, because they can also listen too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the water pressure was terrible. Everything about this place was terrible.
There was no linens.
Again, furniture off of like Wish.com in this case.
I feel like it was like Wish's like cousin that no one talks about.
No linens for the pull-out bed, even though they said, hey, it sleeps up to 6 people. There's no way it sleeps 6 people. Yeah. They're like, they had one skillet for the kitchen that was this big. They had a bunch of mixed match glasses.
No utensils.
No flatware.
None. Not a spoon.
And they had a few utensils to cook with.
Right. But you couldn't use those utensils with the pots and pans that they had.
Because they were metal utensils and the pots and pans were all Teflon.
Yeah.
The pool was okay. I liked the pool. Anyway, back to the Iowa State Fair, because that's the reason we went. The kids had always heard, again, my stories about this. The whole trip was Dad's stories about X, Y, and Z. Yeah. And we tried to avoid the stories where I stole horses. But anyway, Hypothetically, allegedly. Let's just say I made it out of Kentucky with no scars. The Iowa State Fair, where we got to see, and the kids have been to the California State Fair, the Nevada Fair, the Montana State Fair, and they thought, well, we've been to a lot of fairs. And I'm like, you haven't seen a fair till you've been to the Iowa State Fair. And, I mean, look, they had elk, pigs, fuzzy cows, goats, sheep, all the horses. They got a ride. This is them coming down on the sky lift. There's now 2 sky lifts. I was stunned about how many sky lifts there were. They did the big giant slide on the carpets and stuff. This lady, we need to talk about this. So if you know a 12-step program for people with coin pusher tinnitus, oh my God, she spent literally an hour, if not more, at a coin pusher machine. 2 of them. She was working 2 of them at one time. And it was a good time.
I lived in Vegas. I don't gamble. That is me.
No,
I love doing the coin.
That's her only vice. Literally, like, she doesn't eat gluten.
But I will hurt you
she doesn't
if
drink.
You try to remove me when I'm not ready.
I had to get a large stick and poke her. But we did the whole, we'd go and we'd hit the fair first thing in the morning. And we'd leave around 1 because it was so hot. So hot on that. And anyway, so we'd leave at 1 and then we'd go and get some food. We'd drive around Des Moines. And I got to say, this is, I'm going to try and hold it together here. So again, on the trip out last year, in the middle of winter, we drove through Des Moines at like 5 o'clock in the morning. And I'd showed the kids the house I grew up in. But it's 5 o'clock in the morning. It's at night. They can't see anything. We just whizzed by. I'm like, this is the neighborhood, everything, blah, blah, blah. They said, well, hey, can we see the house now that it's summer? Because I always said, the other thing is, I'm really sorry you're not seeing Iowa in summer because that's when it's truly beautiful. And I was like, let's drive by the house. I'm like, okay. So we drive by the house. And Jess makes a comment. Wouldn't it be funny if one of your viewers lives there? And I'm like, yeah, I don't have that big a following. And we pull up to the house and the garage door's up and I see a whole bunch of tools and stuff in there. But one of the things is above the door, there's a giant window. And in that window, when I lived there, inset into the window was this beautiful stained glass window. It wasn't built into the house. It was separate, sitting up in there. And it was gone. And I'm like, well, maybe something happened to it. Maybe they took it down. Maybe they didn't like it. I'm like, maybe it's like downstairs in the garage. Maybe I can buy it off of these people. So I park the truck. I get out. And I'm like, I'm going to go up and see if maybe they've still got it and I can buy it from them. And I go and I knock on the door. And I hear some shuffling. And this guy opens the door. And he's like, hey, he's like super nice. Iowa nice, not just Midwest nice, Iowa nice. It's a step higher. And he's like, and then and I back up so he can have room. He comes outside because he's got dogs and stuff. And then he kind of gets a little reserved and he's like, can I help you? Is there something? I'm like, hey, this is really weird. And this is not an easy conversation for me to have. It just seems so odd. But I'm like, I actually grew up in this house. and there used to be a stained glass, and I'm trying to tell him this about the stained glass and stuff, and he goes, hold on, you have a really familiar voice. And it just hits me. I'm like, oh, there's no way, and I'm like, well, I do some stuff on YouTube. He goes, you're the bear, and I'm like, I am. He goes, oh my gosh, you're the Den of Tools. I'm like, I am. He opens the door, shouts into his brother who's inside. He goes, you were right. Slams the door. And I'm like, how did he guess he hasn't come out? He goes, oh, we saw you pull up. Like, oh, he's like, we were upstairs watching you. You got out. He's like, he goes, that looks like the truck the dude from Den of Tools drives. And then you got out, walked around, and he goes, that looks like the guy from Den of Tools. Apparently, they've been watching the channel for some time. He's like, you grew up here. I'm like, I did. And I told him the story about the stained glass. He's like, no, I haven't seen it. And he goes, so what's it like seeing it? I'm like, it's insane. He's like, oh, would you like to see what we've done with the house? And I'm like, I'd love to. Would you mind if my kids came? They could see it too. He's like, yeah, get everybody. Just the nicest people.
Super nice.
And
super cute dogs. Super awesome dogs.
Super cute dogs. And went into the house, and it's a split foyer, and you go up, there's the landing, you go upstairs or downstairs. We go upstairs, and it's 2 bedrooms up, 2 bedrooms down, a bath on each floor, living room above the family room, kitchen above the garage. And, so much of it has changed. I'm 54. We moved out of there when I was 14, maybe 15, so thereabouts. Because I got my driver's license in Iowa when you can get it back then. You could get when you're 14. I don't know about now. Anyway, he starts asking me all these questions like, "Hey, was this like this? Was this?" Because he's a DIY or fix it kind of guy. I think he does handyman kind of stuff too. Anyway, he was asking like, "Hey, I got a question about this railing over here. Were there spindles here?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, there was very 70s-esque spindles up and down, and then there were these floating shelves in the spindles." He's like, "Oh, I knew it. There was something there." And I'm like, and then over in that corner in the living room, there was a wood burning fireplace that was really weird. It would come out of the wall, come down, and then just hang free in the air. He's like, that explains that, because he picks up the TV, and behind the TV, there's the pipe for the thing. Anyway, we went through the whole house, and I got to tell the kids about, what each room, what it reminded me of stuff, and he got answers to what all these weird things were done with this house. Like, why is this like this, and why is this like that? And, it was almost overwhelming. It was so cool. They were so nice. Getting to be able to show my family all these places and the things that, we're down to like the 4th bedroom, the spare bedroom, and he's like, I'm going to mean you tear up this carpet. I'm like, well, if you tear it up and there's tile underneath it and there's a burn mark in the tile, that was me. One Christmas, I got one of those those of you my age probably remember, they had the home electronic sets like you could get at like Radio Shack and stuff. Well, then they also came out with chemistry sets, and apparently I made something that was rather caustic, and it popped out, it exploded out of the vial and burned. Luckily not me, burned.
I'm wondering why they don't sell those anymore.
Yeah, you think. Anyway, and I got to explain to him that the person who owned the house before us, was the botany professor at Drake University, and he brought in soil from all over Iowa. He had 7 different types of soil in the backyard. And he's like, we were wondering why there were so many weird plants that you don't see in this area and stuff. So it was super cool, and that was just being able to show the kids that and all that kind of stuff. And then went back to the condo and relaxed, got some food. Then we went and hit the state fair in the evening, and gave the kids like unlimited tickets. And I went and I got some margaritas, and you pushed coins all evening.
Yep.
But it was a lot of fun.
Pretty sure I have like a keychain, some sort of wackadoo, not kaleidoscope.
You got a hedgehog.
I got a hedgehog.
That's a pocket telescope.
Pocket telescope. I got a little hedgehog that used to be on a keychain, but it was so janky that it's not connected anymore. But it still squeaks, so I love it.
It's still a hedgehog.
Yep. Yeah.
Let's see, what else?
So
Yes?
Matthew Ryan says, I'm about to fall off the couch laughing here. He says, it's the Den of Tools guy. You were right.
Oh, it was hilarious. I'm sitting
Yeah.
there going, how do you know he was? You did. I'm like, oh, we were watching you. Like, okay. But it's just hilarious that they recognized me right then. What?
Apparently the choppiness is really bad. Barbecue 76 says he feels like he has a form of Tourette's watching the feed. Sorry.
I'm really sorry. If there's
Sorry.
anything we could do to fix it, like calling Elon at home.
Yes.
The butter cow, if you don't know about the Iowa State Fair,
A number of people have asked if we saw it.
the butter cow and all the butter sculptures, and I think the kids were a little disappointed in the butter cow since I talked it up so much. Everyone we talked to talked it up.
Yeah.
And then leaving the butter cow, we ran into another viewer
Oh, yes.
who, and I'm sorry I don't remember his name, but he's got a podcast in. He's from South Dakota, or I think he lives in South Dakota. He's from Iowa originally. Maybe I got it backwards.
No, I think you're right.
Yeah. But he's got a podcast that covers South Dakota University or South Dakota State. I'm sorry if I mixed it up. I got a link to it. I'm going to post a thing in the community section that I got a link. I got a bunch of links I got to post to different people that we met and stuff. We met just a super nice guy in the Wisconsin Dells, and I'm terrible with names. I believe everyone should have a name tag. So I'm really sorry. I'm not saying people's names and stuff, but yeah, it was.
He was there with his wife and his baby, which I don't even think we got to meet, but they were awesome.
Oh, talk about famous people getting actually not recognized. You got to see it. There is a TikTok, and maybe it's probably on YouTube. So the general manager for the Chicago Blackhawks professional hockey team, and the dude looks ridiculously young for his age. And there was some big meeting for hockey executives and business folk in Nashville, and I think it was while we were there. And he was on the street down on Broadway, walking around. And we actually did see this quite a few times, seeing people do like TikTok interviews, like, hey, we're interviewing people on the street for blah, blah, blah. And they go, hey, you want to do an interview? We're asking people about the NHL. And he's like, no, I'm going to pass. And he takes a couple steps past. He goes, you know what? This will be fun. I'm going to do it. So he stops and he goes, okay, I'll do the thing. And they ask him a bunch of questions. No clue. He's a freaking general manager in the NHL. And he comes across as just like a college bro who knows something about. And then they ask him to list players, and he just starts listing players, and they're like, he knows a lot of players, but he had to like be careful not to list like every player on his team because that might tip him off. Like, this guy really knows the Blackhawks or something. Anyway, it's a hilarious interview. You gotta watch it. Even if you're not into sports, it's just funny knowing the fact this dude is the legit GM of the whole franchise. And then let's see here. What did we do after? Did we do anything else fun in Des Moines? We drove around a bunch. I showed them the waterworks, showed them the governor's mansion.
You talked about everywhere.
The Capitol.
This wasn't here. This was a field.
There was a lot of this wasn't
time.
here. In fact, as we were leaving Iowa, as we're leaving Des Moines, I'm like, this is where it ends. So the next 15 miles of stuff that we saw was not there. I'm like, where did this come from? I haven't been gone that long, have I?
You have.
But it's not that. I mean, it's
40 years.
I don't want to talk about it. That was just rude. Yep. That was rude. It was not Iowa nice. I'm going to tell you that.
I have to say that I ran into Iowa after Iowa folks.
On the road.
Even after we left.
Everywhere we went, yeah. There were Iowa folks ever in the Dells, down Nashville. Yep. Bacon on a stick. Yep. Gotta love fair food, bacon on a stick. Yep. This is the pizza place that was just down
Truman's.
Yeah, just a block from where we stayed. This place was fantastic. The people were super nice. It was Iowa. I don't have to say they're super nice. It's Iowa. But the food was great. Mm-hmm. I just want to show this picture of Duncan. For those of you who've been around the channel for a while, 6'2", going on 6'3", defensive tackle for his high school. He's man-sized. 17.
Yes, when I hug him, I'm hugging up. It's not fair.
I'm hugging up. I'm used to be 6'2". I'm probably like 5'7" at this point. This is anyway.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Eleanor in the back is not asleep.
She's just.
We have this
me.
history of mocking mom with posing like she does.
We can move along.
Oh, this is.
Oh, yes.
Gas station goats in South Dakota.
And they all had sheriff badges on.
And they were super nice. So you go up, people were pulling up and taking selfies with them. Yep. And the goats just sit there, meh, poop a little, meh, look for something to eat.
And they're not indoor goats. They just live there, hanging out at the gas station.
There was the biggest electrical storm I've ever seen in my life. It went on had to be 50 miles. We saw lightning at one point arc from the field on our left through the sky to the field on our right. Had to be like a mile long arc. It was terrifying and beautiful at the same time. I saw the single largest lightning bolt I've ever seen, and I've been 10 feet away from a bolt when it hit. So this was just massive. But anyway, that was South Dakota, getting towards Grand Rapids. And let's see, I think we're almost finished with the photos here. Gas station goes, Sturgis. We drove through Sturgis, last day of Sturgis, spent the night in Deadwood. And real nice people at the hotel there. Great little hotel. Trikes. I cannot tell you how many trikes on trikes everywhere we went. Everyone was riding a trike. And I know I posted a picture. I think I posted a picture of that one before on the community page. People were like, I guess you're an old man. Everybody, all ages, riding the Harley trikes or Gold Wings, and just everyone. And they're cool ones. They're super nice, look retro, brand new ones, just amazing stuff. It was really cool to see. Deadwood was pretty cool. Didn't get a lot of time to spend there because we wanted to get home. I actually wanted to take the kids by Devil's Tower, but somebody was like, no more detours. We're getting home now.
Something about I wanted to arrive alive. It was a long trip.
It was a long trip. But the biggest shout out and thank you, although it back and forth with the tour of my family home, is while we're at the state fair, Jess saw somebody selling these purses, and you may have seen my post about it. They were custom made and licensed for the Iowa State Fair, only for sale at the Iowa State Fair, and they sold out. We were there the first day and the second day, and we couldn't find the vendor.
Yeah, and I kept seeing the bags and talking to people.
And this was the bag, Iowa State Fair, and she really wanted one. It was super disappointed she couldn't find it. And we figured, well, they're probably sold out at this point. And we get back, and I posted on the community section, I was like, hey, because I knew a lot of people were commenting because we were posting pics, going, hey, we're going to the Iowa State Fair. Wish you were going to be there another day. Good to see you. I wish you were there another day. I could have met Vivek Ramaswamy. I really wanted to hear him talk. Anyway, and the Iowa State Fair is famous for politicians coming and talk because the Iowa caucuses are the first ones, and Iowans just talk and discuss and argue about politics. That's the great thing about Iowa. You could get into a huge,
I feel like it's more discussing.
It is. They don't usually get. Well, I mean, they'll like you're a moron, but they're not gonna be screaming at you. But they'll call you, semi-offensive names. But then you'll go out to dinner and have a beer and see you at church tomorrow. See you at church, and that's just Iowa, or at least the way it used to be. And anyway, so I posted about the purse, and oh my gosh, like I had a bunch of people respond, hey, we'll take a look for it, and like the next day, dude's like, I got it. Where can I send it? And I'm like, oh my gosh, and then wouldn't let us pay for it. And that said, you've got a package coming your way from Montana with a little Montana stuff going on. So
thank you so much. I've gotten so many compliments, and
she was in tears.
I was like super bummed when I couldn't find it, and super incredibly touched and grateful when you did find it. So thank you.
She's been walking around like the first day. She was walking around with it in the house all day. Like this just happened. This really happened. Somebody
You
did
can't
this for us.
have it and stop looking at my purse.
I don't want your purse.
He wants my purse.
I want the butter cow. Put them on steak. Anyway, that's all our pictures that you couldn't see because it's super choppy, terrible upload speed brought to you by Starlink
Yep.
and Elon Musk.
Yep.
Anyway, hopefully they'll figure. I'm gonna have to open a report or something with them because this is not acceptable. I'll cancel it.
Matthew Ryan sent you some emails at the beginning of the stream. They're for me.
Okay.
It's during Prime Day live stream. I'm concerned. Or what am I doing? Anyways, the email address he had for me was bouncing back. So.
Okay. Anyway, it was a amazing trip, and we saw so many amazing things, met so many wonderful people, so many viewers, and the kids were like, I don't know if I want to get recognized again. And we met another viewer at the Iowa State Fair. We every time we went, we met somebody else at the Iowa State Fair. Mm-hmm. And this one was he looked at me and was like, I think I was wearing my cowboy hat. And so I think, they didn't recognize me. That's kind of one of the reasons why I've been wearing it more because when it's hot out, you cannot beat a straw hat for heat because the heat comes up into here and then goes out all these little vents. This hat will keep your head warm all day long. Even a trucker cap is not as good as a cowboy hat. And you have my full permission as a Montanan to wear a cowboy hat, even if you don't have a herd of cows or anything else. Somebody gives you grief about it, like, well, my buddy in Montana said it was all right, and I got a pass. So you got an official pass because there's nothing more comfortable in the sun than a straw hat. Anyway, that said, so he kind of I saw him look at me, and it was kind of like one of those looks, and I'm like, maybe he's trying to get past me to see what's behind, because we were in one of the expo halls. It was super packed. Mm-hmm. And he looks around, and he sees Jess, and his eyes go, and he goes, you're the Den of Tools, you're the bear. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, I thought it was you. I wasn't sure, but then I saw your wife. And he's like, I know her. And I'm like, wow, he knows my wife better than me. Okay, 10 feet back. Just keep this. No, I'm teasing.
He was
super
awesome.
Nice. Everyone we met was super nice.
Yeah.
The one in Wisconsin was weird. Not the viewer. The viewer was just one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. But we were in a place. We're at a restaurant that is a bunch of food trucks inside a building, and then there's a bar. And I was getting a drink from the bar. And so I was in a conversation because everyone who works in the Dells apparently is some foreign exchange student on a summer work visa. Yep. And so English, not always the best. They're good, but not great. And sometimes
it's not their first language,
some of the concepts were hard for them. And so I'm sitting there trying to order my drink, and I see out of the corner of my eye my wife and my daughter having this conversation with this guy. And he's pointing at me, and I'm like, well, this is odd. And then finally it clicked what's going on is he knows who I am, wants to say hi, but they're having a chat with him because I'm trying to finish this. And it was the first time I ever felt super famous because my people were holding back the crowds.
And the bartender was like, what is going on?
The bartender, who is from Romania, is like,
it's like, why? What?
Why does this dude care about you? You're some old fat dude. And, just... Anyway, the guy comes over, super nice, and he was telling me, he was telling my wife, he's like, I came over, I was telling your wife, you're like, I know him, I know who he is.
And I'm like, I know him too.
I was like, that's a coincidence, so do I.
He was super nice.
Just nicest guy. Everyone we met, I feel so blessed.
Yeah.
So blessed. But then he leaves, and the bartender's like looking at me, and I'm like, I'm a YouTuber. She's like, oh, that must be nice. I'm like, well, that doesn't suck.
Yeah.
She was a little something. Anyway, let's see what else. Any other fun stuff on the trip? The kids got to go on the moving water slide.
Oh yeah.
You got to look that up. You got to look up Mount Olympus moving water slide. It looks like it's a meat grinder.
And the wave pool, no joke.
Oh, geez.
You have to be an adult or a really good swimmer because it's 15 feet up.
It's a wall of water.
It will beat your butt
and the pool's packed, and it just slams everybody into each other.
Yep.
It was I can't believe they get away with one that. I mean,
Yeah,
I
it's violent. Like if
there were less people there, I probably would have gotten in, but I would have killed probably 2-3 dozen people if I'd gotten in there. Anyway,
and it was so warm, I actually got in the water. Like I am usually the mom's like, okay, that's great. Like maybe not in the water as much. It was hot. I was in the water.
one thing I was bummed about is when I was little, people went to the Dells for the natural beauty of the area. You do the water park, and there were like dinner shows and stuff like that. And now it's become more like Gatlinburg. If you've ever been to Gatlinburg, it's a giant tourist trap. No, but we love tourist traps. Okay, we love the kookiness of it and the whole 9 yards and whatnot. And we walked around downtown. The kids went in they went into like the little mini haunted house thing, and did they play laser tag?
They played laser tag when I took them to the arcade, and
When I went to Northern Tool Menards.
yeah.
Yeah. And of course we had to go. Menards is or not Menards. Direct Tools. That's not Northern Tools. Direct Tools, which of course is at the outlet mall. So they came to the outlet mall too, and there was a moonshine store there too. So we had some samples there. Anyway, I was stunned how much I liked Chicago, because I mean I liked Chicago when I was little. It was the big city that everyone went to, and people were nice and good food, 9 yards. Then as, I've heard all the politics and all the reports of violence and everything. There was a cop cruiser in the downtown area on almost every street corner, parked permanently. Like, it would be...
Even like the sketchy part when you're like going underneath.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, like I grew up like in a big city, and there's places maybe I wouldn't go at night. But it was safe.
There was women, single women walking around in the underpasses at night. It was weird how nice and how safe the downtown area felt. Then we drove through to get on the highway. I drove along the water, and then we had to take this little detour through the south side of Chicago, and it was south side before you could get on the Skyway or whatever it is, and that was a little bit of sketch. Like at stoplights, I'd stop away back and keep rolling, so I'd never actually have to stop the vehicle. But I mean, I've been through south side of Chicago a dozen times, so it was nothing new. But it's just it's sad to see the city going into that kind of situation. That and the Oasis, if you guys don't, you can look up Chicago Skyway Oasis. They have these great little, because it's a toll road, and they don't want you to have to pay to get off and stuff. So they have these little. Anyway, you got to look it up, but they're disappearing apparently.
Yeah.
Because they have to expand the road, and then when they expand it, it doesn't make cost sense to rebuild it, so it just goes away. That was something I missed.
And Elle will tell you from our last trip, she had one of the best Euro sandwiches. Or
we did get to go to one last time, and then this time it was gone. Let's see here. It was just cool taking them to a lot of the places that I remember. Not only when I was little, but also as a young adult. When I lived in Cincinnati, I lived in Cincinnati until I was, I think, my early mid-20s. And then I moved to Indianapolis. And then I moved from Indianapolis to San Francisco, where I was in the San Francisco Bay Area for almost 20 years. But got to show the kids around Indy, got to show them around. In Omaha, when we were coming back from Des Moines, we went through Omaha, and I know one of our viewers invited us. He's got a restaurant there, invited us there. We went through super early in the morning, so we didn't have time to stop. But I did take the kids through. I lived in an area there was a suburb called Millard. I went to Millard North High School, and I loved that high school. I was on the football team. I was on the photography, yearbook, and newspaper.
There was a football barbecue happening, and I was like, maybe we should stop. But we weren't invited, so.
Yeah. And then it's right next to Boys Town, and I drove everyone through Boys Town, showed them the statue, the "He's not heavy, he's my brother" thing, and told them the whole story of Boys Town. Yeah. It's a super cool place. And then we drove through the other town I lived in for a few years, Fremont, Nebraska, and actually found we lived in an apartment in Fremont.
Oh yeah,
out
that
in the
was
middle,
really
on the
cool.
edge of, like, we weren't wealthy enough to live in Fremont. We were over in the sketchy apartments outside of Fremont next to the airport. And
The apartments are still sketchy.
the apartments are still sketchy. And I lived there when the Pathfinder Hotel blew up. And I remember playing in the yard with my buddy, and pieces of tar paper floating down out of the sky. We're like, this is the weirdest thing ever. How does this happen? And Pathfinder was a historic hotel in downtown Fremont, and there was a guy down there fixing a gas line or something, and he dropped a wrench apparently and caused a spark, and needless to say, he's no longer with us. And lots of people actually died, and the hotel blew sky high. Anyway, it was weird being back there.
Like we could see the apartment.
Yeah. And anyway, it was fun driving back. And then there's a part when you get to Sioux City and you got to go from Nebraska back into Iowa to go over to South Dakota. And my wife was convinced when she sees the Iowa sign, she's like, we are not, because I made a joke previously about we should go back for the state fair, do 2 more days at the state fair. She's like, you are not doing that. And I'm like,
have you met him? I mean, it's possible.
I am. She is not. She's I want everything planned. I want this, and this.
Sort of.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I'm the guy that's like, hey, it's Friday at 7:00. Let's drive to LA.
But the difference is I have to pack for it and make sure like
I don't do any of the packing.
That's why he's like, let's do blah blah blah, and I'm like, let me just whip it right out of my armpit. Like, where do you think that's happening?
But I'm also the one who's like, screw it. We'll hit a Ross when we get there. We'll buy a change of clothes. It'll be fabulous.
Yes.
And we've done that. And you had a great time.
I did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I know we've gone probably way too long, especially with the bandwidth that we have. And I want to say how much we appreciate. We want to appreciate each and every one of you for being a member of the channel, because your views and stuff are what allow us to keep doing what we do and take road trips like this with my family.
With us.
And and thank you for everyone who helped out tonight with a super chat. It's gonna go. I mean, we did tap ourselves out pretty hard on this trip. It was a lot of eating out, and like when in Iowa, I was like, we'll eat at the fair because we got to have some fair food, and then we'll go back to the condo and we'll cook.
Right, and I bought a ton of groceries.
Yeah.
And couldn't cook
anything.
Of it.
Yeah.
Like nothing. Because there was no utensils. There was nothing.
We were able to cook. You did breakfast and stuff in Nashville, but I was so excited about like the Nashville. I was eating hot chicken literally every day.
Barbecue 76. Yes, we are reading the comments. We can't say them all, but yes. Yeah. And you see my smile. Yeah.
The Dean says, "What's your thoughts on the 27-gallon Fortress air compressor?" It's my shop air compressor. It's right there. It's.
We know you can't see it.
Yeah,
but it's there.
It's my. I think, literally, if you're gonna get there's 3 sizes of compressors that I think somebody should have in a shop. You should either have like the really small 1-2 gallon super quiet ones for just airing things up, or you should get something like the 27 to 30 gallon for doing basic air tools and stuff like that, heavier duty kind of stuff. Or if you're going to be serious, you need to get yourself a 60 gallon. Anything between, a 6-gallon pancake, I get if you're like doing a nailing job or something, but anything from 10 to 20 it's not small enough and quiet enough to be comfortable, and it's not getting you anything extra you can't do with the 2-gallon. And you have to step up to the 27, 30 gallons to be able to do real kind of air work. And if you're going to be doing it professionally, you need a 60, 80 gallon. So I absolutely love it. It's sitting right there. I'm looking to do some little fun thing with the hose reel. I'm thinking about making a platform that attaches to it that has the hose reel on it, so I can wheel a whole air center around with me. But I'm weird like that. Zaphiel, whoa. Yeah, sorry, Zaf. I know the bandwidth is terrible. Look at views. We've got 783. There's practically no one here. 48 concurrent viewers sticking it out.
We apologize,
Yeah,
but at least we know that some of you are just listening to the audio, and we totally get it.
Yeah.
Sometimes the video has challenges.
Anyway, we need to take off, go take care of the kids, because our kids are back in school. I know for those of you who've been following the family, we homeschooled for a long time. And the kids this year said they wanted to do in school.
So we're checking it out.
Which also means we might have to make a change to Sunday live streams, because now the weekends are more sacrosanct. Before it was like every day is a weekend or every day is a weekday. Didn't really matter. Now, and we also try really hard to not do work and stuff on Sundays. And we kind of made a carve out for this because it didn't feel as much like work. It's more hanging out with our extended family here. But we might have to find a different day and a different schedule for the live streams and different bandwidth, because this sucks.
Yes, we apologize. We're super glad you're listening with us.
Super glad you're here. Anyway.
And he is going to post the pictures.
I will. I'll post a link to the pictures. Anyway, that's all we got for tonight. You all take care. God bless. And as always, shine on.